The protests in Russia stem from a broken promise to pay soldiers. But this is just the tip of the iceberg for Vladimir Putin's problems. The ongoing war has been taking a toll on the Russian economy, and it's becoming clear that wars don't always lead to success. Despite Europe's own struggles, Russia is facing a crisis of its own and could be on the brink of collapse. Sanctions are only making things worse for the economy, and the invasion is putting the country's future at risk. The National Bank of Russia predicts that the country will experience the deepest economic downturn among major economies this year. In this video, we'll delve into the dire situation facing the Russian economy and examine how long Putin can keep up his reckless invasion. Because of ongoing occasions, it has been accounted for that the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, has started a huge military activity against Ukraine, following a while of arrangements in a televised address. Mr. Putin called for Ukrainian troops to disarm and return home, while the Ukrainian military has been making notable advances across the entire region, including around the port city of Kherson. Additionally, there have been reports of jubilation in the streets as Ukrainian soldiers successfully regained control of the strategic city of Kherson following withdrawal of Russian forces. There has been a conversation in regard to the effect of ascents on the Russian economy, with some at first foreseeing a breakdown. Notwithstanding, the economy had the option to endure the underlying impacts of the authorizations because of its dependence on the oil and gas industry. As oil costs expanded, Russia's pay developed, and the economy had the option to recuperate. Be that as it may, with diminishing oil costs and different nations turning out to be less reliant upon Russian oil, the fate of the Russian economy is dubious. Further details regarding the challenges faced by the economy will be discussed. Following Putin's incursion into Ukraine, Russia was met with swift and severe sanctions that exceeded expectations. The sanctions effectively isolated Russia from the global economy, leading foreign companies to withdraw their investments as a form of protest against the war. Despite globalization's tendency to boost countries' economies, it was leveraged against Russia due to the potential threat to global peace. This event highlights the fragility of interdependent relationships between countries. The sanctions imposed on Russia included freezing foreign reserves, restricting vital trade supplies, and blocking access for oligarchs, among other measures. It was initially predicted that Russia's economy would contract by 15% in a year due to these sanctions. However, the actual outcome turned out to be different from outside observations. Although the ruble decreased in value at the onset of the war, it recovered and reached levels higher than in pre-war times. The initial prediction of a 15% contraction in Russia's economy was revised to 7%, 5%, and finally 4%. Furthermore, instead of Russia's economy collapsing, the sanctions' impact was felt by European nations struggling due to the countermeasures taken by Russia. To sum up, when Russia launched its war, other superpowers refrained from direct involvement to avoid nuclear escalation. Subsequently, Russia was sanctioned severely, but the countries that ended up struggling were those imposing the sanctions. This scenario may sound like a meme. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge Atlas VPN as today's sponsor. Numerous little sites and applications screen your action and afterward offer your information to the most noteworthy bidder, which can place your data in the possession of corrupt people. Atlas VPN can protect your IP address and browsing history to ensure your data remains secure. Additionally, you can access region-locked content on streaming sites and potentially save money and travel by searching from different countries. As of now, Atlas VPN is offering the shopping extravaganza following Thanksgiving advancement, where you can get a 3-year membership for a low month-to-month pace of $1.70 with a half-year free and a 30-day unconditional promise. The Biden administration is working on a 6th package of sanctions against Russia due to its war on Ukraine. These sanctions will include targeted measures aimed at strategic sectors of the Russian economy, such as blocking access to key technologies and markets. In addition, there will be a phased embargo on Russian oil imports by the end of the year. As part of these sanctions, U.S. institutions will be prohibited from dealing with major Russian banks and state-owned companies. The impact of these sanctions has been severe, causing the Russian ruble to plummet and leading to an exodus of citizens to other countries to avoid conscription. While some might contend that the approvals have not been viable, they have made critical harm to Russia's economy. The country has been cut off from essential microchips, which have severely hindered its ability to engage in modern warfare. The car and aviation industries have also been hit hard due to equipment shortages in Europe and the U.S. The shortages of essential goods have resulted in inflation, currently at 12%, and the central bank is cutting interest rates to combat a recession. If circumstances are unfavorable, How is Russia able to sustain the war effort? Russia has been accumulating oil and gas reserves since 2017 in preparation for such an eventuality. When the invasion began, oil prices immediately surged to their highest levels this year, remaining elevated for a substantial portion of the year, allowing Russia to generate record revenue that helped fund both the war and the economy. Sanctions had a drag-down effect, but the inelasticity of oil demand and record oil prices offset this impact. Russia generated $100 billion from fuel exports in the first 100 days after the invasion, a 60% increase from the previous year, even while exporting less oil due to higher prices. Although Europe was one of Russia's biggest customers, it has been slow to halt its imports as it is a vital resource that is difficult to replace quickly. India and China capitalized on this situation, buying at a 30% discount from the market price and making up for any loss of revenue that Russia experienced from the United States. Russia was willing to offer the discount because prices were still much higher than the previous year. However, as the panic around oil demand subsides, prices are likely to fall, and Russia's revenue will decline as well. Exports to the EU have already fallen, and India and China's demand is also dropping as Russia tries to reduce discounts on prices. Europe is planning to cease buying Russian oil in December, which will have a significant impact on Russian fuel revenues. Furthermore, it is expected that Russia will exhaust its reserves by the end of 2023, making it even more challenging to fund the war. This passage discusses the potential implementation of a price cap on Russian oil to prevent Russia from benefiting from high oil prices while allowing countries that rely on Russian oil to continue to access it. One potential strategy being considered to enforce this price cap is through the use of insurance companies that are crucial to the shipping industry. Under this approach, insurance companies would only insure a ship if the price of the oil on board does not exceed the price cap. As most of the insurance market is controlled by Europe and the USA, this gives them significant leverage over Russia. Additionally, the passage notes that gas is also a significant part of Russia's revenue stream, but the construction of pipelines to transport it takes decades, making it difficult for Russia to find new buyers if European countries reduce their gas purchases. Ongoing occasions in Russia have prompted a critical number of capable, working-age men to leave the country. This follows an announcement by President Vladimir Putin on September 21, 2022, ordering a partial mobilization of 300,000 men to join the war in Ukraine. In response, many citizens have attempted to flee the country by various means of transportation, causing long lines of traffic near Russia's borders with neighboring countries. As per reports, in excess of 360,000 men have left the country since the declaration, notwithstanding the generally enormous number that had left because of the attack. This exodus of valuable workers from Russia could have drastic long-term effects on the struggling economy. When men leave Russia to fight in Ukraine, it creates a shortage in the country's workforce, particularly among the most productive population. The economy is enduring because of this work deficiency, and organizations are battling to remain open. The lack of manpower has caused Western companies to stop exporting to Russia, resulting in a significant market loss. Additionally, companies such as IT firms and food distribution firms are losing skilled workers, making it challenging to find replacements. This situation is affecting the availability of goods and services for Russian citizens, leading to discontent with the government. The current state of affairs in Russia is worrisome. The military intervention by Putin in Ukraine has resulted in a downturn in the Russian economy. Furthermore, the global community's sanctions are exacerbating the situation. The dwindling financial resources due to the ongoing war, combined with the emigration of capable men, indicate a bleak future for the country's economy and its people. Regrettably, Putin's policies are hampering any prospect of progress for Russia. A collaborative effort from the international community is necessary to resolve this conflict and support the reconstruction of Russia for the benefit of its people.